All right, let's talk about one of the most dreaded experiences in academic life, the brutally harsh peer review. You know the one. It feels like a total gut punch, and it can be really defeating. But what if you could actually turn it into a catalyst for your best work? Just imagine it. You've spent months, maybe even years on your research. You open your email and you read that. Oof. That is the exact feedback Dr. Marcus Lee received, a moment that so many people in academia know all too well. Yeah, if that quote sounds a little too familiar, then you already know who we're talking about, don't you? You've had a run-in with the infamous reviewer too, the ghost in the machine of academic publishing, the kind of feedback that is absolute nightmare fuel. So let's dive into this story of Dr. Marcus Lee because it really captures this whole crisis perfectly. I mean, his reaction was just completely visceral, right? You can almost feel it. His face gets hot, he slams the laptop shut, and he just has to get out of there. And in that moment, he didn't just question the paper, he questioned everything, his whole career path. And look, that's not being overly dramatic. That's a deeply, deeply human response. Well, that brings us to a really crucial point. This isn't just one person's story. The emotional toll of peer review is absolutely real. So why does this whole process feel so incredibly personal and difficult? To really get it, you gotta look at the landscape. Academic publishing is a pressure cooker. It is built on these sky-high rejection rates. We're talking top journals turning away 70, 80, even 90% of the papers they get. That creates this environment of just constant, intense scrutiny. And when you're in that kind of high-pressure system, of course there are going to be real psychological consequences. It can spark these intense feelings of shame, frustration, and just crippling self-doubt. And for folks just starting their careers, it's a huge source of imposter syndrome. It can honestly make them wonder if they should just leave academia altogether. So here's the main takeaway from all this. Getting a brutal review, it's practically a rite of passage. It is not a personal failure. If anything, it's a sign that you're in the arena. You're actually participating in this incredibly rigorous and, yeah, sometimes flawed process of building knowledge. Okay, so it's normal. Great. But what do you actually do about it? Let's get tactical. This is where we get into the game plan for how to fight back, using Dr. Lee's story as our blueprint. The first rule, and this is probably the most important and the absolute hardest one, you have to wait. The advice is a strict 48-hour cool-off period. You just do not respond while you're still seeing red. Once that emotional heat has died down, you can switch gears from feeling hurt to thinking strategically. Dr. Lee's method was super clear. It boiled down to 3 steps. Sort the comments, create a response table, and then and only then craft the rebuttal. Now here's the really smart part of his strategy. He realized that not all feedback is created equal. He didn't just lump it all together. For the points that were actually valid, he thanked the reviewer and made the change. For things that were just misunderstandings, he clarified. And for the points that were flat out wrong, he pushed back. But he did it firmly, professionally, and with hard evidence. So, did all this strategic work actually pay off? You bet it did. Not only did his paper get accepted, but get this, it went on to become his single most cited piece of research. That brutal review, once he processed it the right way, actually made his work so much stronger. Okay, that's a great story for Dr. Lee, but let's talk about you. Let's make this something you can use. This is your battle-tested playbook for turning that next piece of harsh feedback into a huge advantage. This right here, this is the pivot. It's the critical difference between a knee-jerk, angry reaction and a smart, professional rebuttal. One gets you a quick rejection, the other gets your paper accepted. It's that simple. So let's just run through that checklist one more time. Number 1, always cool off. 2, mine for gold. Even in the nastiest review, there's usually a useful nugget in there somewhere. 3, be precise. Use that point-by-point format. 4, get a friend or a colleague to look over your response. And finally, you have to consciously build your own resilience by remembering this is all just part of the process. All right, let's pull back and look at the big picture for a second. Because this isn't just about surviving one bad review. It's about developing the mindset you need to actually thrive throughout your entire career. You know, when you boil it all down, it really comes back to this one idea, resilience. It's about reframing the whole experience. This isn't a personal attack. It's a conversation. A very tough, sometimes frustrating conversation, sure. But its goal is ultimately to make the science better for everyone. And I absolutely love this thought from Dr. Lee. He tells his students now that the best revenge, if you want to call it that, isn't a fiery email. It's using that criticism as fuel to produce a paper that is so good, it's just undeniable. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you get that piece of brutal feedback, instead of seeing it as a roadblock, just ask yourself, what if this isn't the end? What if this is actually the beginning of my best work yet?